Hi guys, welcome to video 2 of first look at the skill trees for the characters in Borderlands 1.5. This video we're going to be looking at Willhelm. Let's get straight into it. Action skill, Wolf and Saint. Press action skill to summon Wolf and Saint, your trusty combat drones. Wolf will roam and attack enemies, while Saint will stay close to you and replenish your health. Saint has a protective shield, but Wolf can be damaged by enemies. Press and hold action skill to recall a Wolf and Saint and have some of your cooldown refunded. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is like your commando character, this is your Axton, this is your Roland. So character kind of intended to be played if you're going to be playing on your own, because you've got these kind of helpers to go out and deal damage to enemies as well as you yourself. And you've kind of got elements of a few characters in there. You've got the kind of turret effect of Roland and Axton. You've got the healing effects from the kind of what the Necromancer had, but all split into two separate drones. So that's quite interesting. Again, let's start with the leftmost tree, Hunter Killer. So that's probably going to be, I assume, buffing action skill again. Probably Wolf. Wolf's airspeed is increased. Additionally, your reload speed and projectile speed is increased. Projectile speed was actually something very useful in Borderlands 2, but only when you were using stuff like Torg weapons or rocket launchers, just because of the slow-moving projectiles. How useful it will be in this game, I'm not sure. But projectile speed often is more useful than it sounds. Reload speed is always good. Wolf airspeed, it's a nice little bonus there. Fire support increases your damage with all gun types and increases the damage dealt by Wolf. With 5 points, we're looking at plus 25% Wolf damage, plus 15% gun damage. Which of these two would I go for? That's a close call. I'm probably going to be a noob and say fire support. I just quite like stacking that damage. Although reload speed and projectile speed, you may find that that's actually a lot more useful. No, you know what? I'm going to go for Afterburner. Okay. Venom Bolts. Wolf ability. Wolf shots have a chance to be Venom Bolts, which deal corrosive damage. Additionally, you gain increased corrode damage and corrode damage with guns and grenades. So that's all in corrosive. I'm not sure why that's especially focused upon. I'm going to say that's not overly great. That's very situational. Suppression kill skill. Killing an enemy gives you and Wolf increased fire rate for a short time. I much prefer that. That's a skill which can kind of give you a lot of momentum in a prolonged fight. Keep killing enemies, keep getting that fire rate up. Yeah, I'm much preferring that over Venom Bolts. Laser guided. When you activate Wolf and Saint or press action skill while they are active, Saint will paint the target under your reticle. Wolf will focus attacks on the currently painted target. Okay, so this is basically allowing you to target your turret onto a certain enemy. The target will receive increased damage from all sources. So that's also like adding kunai. So that's a very cool skill. If a target is killed while painted, time will be added to Wolf and Saint's duration. Very much liking that. There's absolutely no drawbacks to it. Target damage received plus 25%. This will be a 1-point skill. Wolf and Saint duration on kill 5 seconds. Wow, yeah, I'm definitely liking this one. That's a definite must-have if you're going down this tree. Rolling Thunder. While Wolf is alive, you'll periodically gain stacks of Rolling Thunder, increasing Wolf's damage. So that's a very much momentum-based skill. The longer he's alive, the more damage he'll do. And that's very cool, especially if you're mixing it in with things which will increase his duration. Stack interval 5 seconds. So that's quite. How long is he out for to begin with? Duration 35 seconds, up to 6 stacks, 12% damage by the end. But if you're adding time on, with other skills, then that could potentially become quite good. But I'm not sure how noticeable it's going to be. Kill switch. Wolf ability. Whenever Wolf is recalled, runs out of health or expires, it will dive bomb enemies with an explosive effect. This is something which sounds very good in like theory, but in practice, you're probably going to be better off spending your points elsewhere. Scramble. So this looks like a kind of 1-point skill tier. When Wolf is destroyed, it is replaced once for free. And time will be added to Wolf and Saint's duration. Deployment time added 30%. So this is obviously the strongest one here. I mean, this pretty much doubles your action skill. You get a new turret for free, and you get deployment time added on. So I'm definitely going for Scramble out of these three, and then Rolling Thunder, and then Kill Switch. Cold War. When you apply a shock, incendiary, or corrosive status effect to an enemy, there's a chance for the target to freeze. Additionally, you gain increased status effect chance when using cryo weapons. Freeze chance, 5%. So that'll be up to 25%. So when using any other elemental, you have a chance to freeze them. That's insanely useful. Escalation increases your critical damage. Additionally, critical hits on enemies reduce the remaining cooldown by a small amount. Cooldown 6 seconds. Cooldown reduction 0.6 with 5 points, 3%. Critical hit damage plus 5%. I'm quite liking that. Critical hit's good. The cooldown for the effect is quite long, 6 seconds. I'm not really liking that so much. But not a bad skill, certainly. Omega Strike, Wolf ability. Wolf periodically launches a deadly missile or strike against its targets. Obviously, that's remained to see how powerful it is. Because it's an end tree skill, I'm guessing it's going to be very good. So if you're looking to max out your wolf damage, if you're playing on your own, this is certainly a good tree to be investing in, I think. I'm going to go Afterburner. I'm going to go Suppression, Laser Guided, Scramble, Rolling Thunder, Cold War, and Omega Strike. Possibly Escalation as well, instead of Rolling Thunder. Although I think this is 5 points, this is 1 point. Depends how the tree kind of fills up. But I'm quite liking that build. Fairly standard, nothing crazily overpowered by the looks of it. Scramble's looking very good, mind you. But otherwise fairly standard for this kind of general commando-like character. Onto the secondary, Laser Focus. Increases gun damage and magazine size with all laser weapons. I'm yet to use any laser weapons, so I don't know how good they are. Laser damage will be up to 20%, plus magazine size of 20, with 5 points into that. Man and Machine increases shield capacity and maximum health for you and Wolf. Being able to benefit yourself and your action skill at the same time, that's very good value. So I'm probably going to go for Man and Machine there, but that may just be being ignorant of how good laser weapons are. We're yet to see. First to Fight increases your gun damage. This bonus is lost 5 seconds after you deal damage. Okay, so we get the bonus for 5 seconds once you start dealing damage, and is regained 5 seconds of you not dealing or taking damage. So we get it for 5 seconds, then you'll have to not deal damage for another 5 seconds before you can get it for another 5 seconds. And up to 40%. If you've got a gun which empties its clip in 5 seconds and then takes 5 seconds to reload, then this is the perfect skill. That will pretty much be like a permanent 40%. Otherwise, I'm not a massive fan of it, just because it's quite a short duration, and then not having to... just not being able to shoot for another 5 seconds, you want that bonus back. I think you're going to end up doing less damage if you just sit around waiting for that bonus to come back. So I think that's a bit counterintuitive. Targeting scope, kill skill, increasing killing an enemy increased accuracy and critical damage for a few seconds. I'm preferring that over First to Fight. At the moment, I'm looking at Man and Machine plus targeting scope. Power Fist augmentation, melee override, form an explosive punch with an extended range. That's very no thrills, melee override. Not a massive fan of it. I'm often a bit skeptical of the melee overrides. The others have looked quite good. This one doesn't seem to really tie in with any other skill, so I'm not a big fan of that at face value. Emergency response. Whenever it is activated, your shield... emergency response is activated whenever your shield becomes depleted, increasing your fire rate and reload speed, and Wolf's fire rate for a short duration. Your shield must fully recharge between activations. So that's quite good. It's kind of if you're in a fight, like a kind of intense gunfight, your shield will probably be lost fairly quickly. That's usually the way it goes in Borderlands, and at that point it will get increased reload speed and fire rate, and it will help your action skill. So I'm very much liking that. Augmentation legs, you can shoot while sprinting. That's very cool. While doing so, you gain damage. You gain bonus gun damage and suffer no accuracy penalties. Next level gun damage plus 20%. I'm going to assume these are all 1 point things, much like it was in the other skill tree. So I think it'll be 20% is the maximum you can get. But being able to get increased gun damage while moving faster, that's essentially like giving you gun damage and a speed bonus. Because if you decide to sprint and you'll be doing gun damage, those both tie in very nicely. So it's like increased movement speed and gun damage, although you can't strafe while running, obviously. But I'm quite liking that skill, actually. It's a new one. Divert power. When your shields are depleted and your health is low, taking damage causes you to regain shield generation and damage resistance for a few seconds. Damage threshold below 30%, so it'll trigger below 30%. Duration 3 seconds. Damage resistance plus 50%. Recharge 20% of your shield. So 20% of your shield is not great. Damage resistance plus 50% is okay. This seems like a kind of last-ditch effort. It might be good for kind of newer players. If you start taking a lot of damage, something that will trigger, and you'll think, oh, maybe I should, get out line of sight, take some cover. Personally, I'm not a massive fan of it. The benefits you get from it don't seem to be that great. I'm much more interested in augmentation legs, because it's quite a new idea, and emergency response. I think that's going to be a lot more of a kind of permanent buff. Divert power is a bit more of a... I don't know. If you're playing on your own, it might be quite useful, but I'm not a massive fan. I quite prefer these two. Meteor Slam increases the damage radius of your slam ability. I don't really know why that's so far down the skill tree. It doesn't seem great to me. Welcome to the gun show. You're better with guns in nearly every regard. Increased gun damage, reload speed, magazine size, accuracy, and recoil. Up to 15% with each if that's a 5-point skill. Definitely going with that over Meteor Slam. Although I've yet to see how good the ground pound actually is. Vengeance Cannon. Whenever your shield becomes depleted, you activate your shoulder-mounted Vengeance Cannon. Fires incendiary laser bolts in tandem with your equipped weapon and lasts for a short period of time. So that seems to be a bit of a nod towards Predator. That's very, very cool. I like the sound of that. Your shield must fully recharge for activations. Active duration 12 seconds. That's actually quite long. I was expecting it to be more like kind of 5 seconds. So not a bad skill tree. There's some interesting things towards the end. I definitely like Vengeance Cannon. But a lot of it seems a little bit mediocre. Willhelm so far seems a bit no thrills, which is often the case with the commandos, I find. I know a lot of people might hate me for saying that, but his skill tree is looking fairly basic, fairly predictable. I do like the shock absorbers though, and the Vengeance Cannon sounds very fun. For this tree I'm going to go man and machine targeting scope. Power fist if we have to. If we don't, then I'll go first to fight. You might as well get gun damage bonus when you start shooting. If we can put points into that to get past the melee override, then I'll be very much up for that. Then I'll go emergency response, shock absorbers, welcome to the gun show, and Vengeance Cannon. I think that'll be my pick for that skill tree. Moving on to the final tree, Dreadnought. Auxiliary tanks increases Wolf and Saint's duration and cooldown rate. So this might be just focusing on your action skill. Wolf and Saint duration plus 2 seconds per point. Cooldown rate 3%. So 5 points, 10 seconds off your cooldown. 15% off your cooldown and 10 extra seconds on their duration. Fortify increases max health for you and Wolf. Additionally, while Saint is active, you deal increased damage with all gun types. Okay, I'm probably going to go for that. Simply because I'll be playing with other people. Again, this might be better if you're playing on your own. But again, this is just more value. Just be able to get that maximum health for you and your action skill, and get gun damage with all gun types. That's including rocket launchers, which is kind of uncommon with things like this. I'm probably going to go with Fortify over auxiliary tanks, but I think either is good here. Energize, Saint ability. Saint will occasionally boost the shields of you and your friends. Okay, so that's nice. So each character so far has had some kind of team ability. It's nice that they're trying to work that into every character. Additionally, Saint gains an increase to the rate to which he regenerates your health. So this is like the first only Saint buff we've seen so far. It's quite a good team skill. If you're relying on Saint to keep you alive a lot, that's obviously going to be one to invest in. Personally, not too thrilled by it. Heat sinks improves shield recharge rate and shield recharge delay. This bonus is doubled while Wolf and Saint are on cooldown. I quite prefer that just because it's active when your action skill is on cooldown. It's not reliant on you having your action skill out. That's kind of one thing which frustrates me with some characters, is you seem to be kind of living between your action skill regenerating, and between that your character's a bit mediocre. So having something to buff you when you don't have your action skill, I quite like that. Termination protocols. Fight for your life is replaced by termination protocols. You can walk at a reduced speed, fire weapons, and you constantly shock nearby enemies. So that's good. You'll be de-shielding enemies, help you get your second wind. If the timer runs out, your power core goes critical, releasing a nuclear explosion. If that nuclear explosion helps you get second wind, if it kills someone, that's very, very useful if you're playing on your own. Otherwise, it's just useful anyway. Being able to prevent your friends from having to come and pick you up is great, because if you're in a very tough gunfight, having someone try and pick you up and then they go down, you end up with this kind of domino effect, and that can be quite bad. So I quite like that, actually. And I know I said I don't like skills which rely on you being a fight for your life, but this is slightly different. This isn't just like gun damage and fight for your life. This is actually being able to walk around. Being able to walk over to a teammate as well is useful. Like the fuse for Krieg, for example, was very useful. Rapid enforcement, kill skill. Killing an enemy increases your cooldown rate for Wolf and Saint and increases your movement speed and reload speed. Absolutely loving that one. That's very Salvador, and being able to just keep your action skill on cooldown just by killing enemies. Movement speed, reload speed are both amazing things to have. Often very underestimated is movement speed. So really liking those. So really liking that skill. 3 things at once. Definitely be putting points into that if I went down this tree. 0 hour, Saint ability. When Saint is recalled or expires, he explodes, deploying a healing zone underneath you, regenerating health for you and teammates. So that's very cool. That's basically giving Saint an ability to heal after he's already expired and going on to teammates. And it lasts for 12 seconds, regenerates 8% of your max health a second, so that's actually not too shoddy at all. Quite liking that. That's obviously going to be a 1-point skill, definitely worth a 1 point, I think. Hazmat containment system. If you have incendiary shock or corrosive status effect on you, you and your friends gain increased resistance to that element. That is amazingly overpowered. I really, really like that. That is very, very good. Elemental resistance is something which was very, very useful in Borderlands 2, but often not invested in by people. Additionally, you will occasionally spread that status effect to nearby enemies while it's active. So you'll be throwing back Elemental while gaining resistance to it. And it applies to your entire team. Definitely worth it. Even just 1 point would be great. If you can put more than 1 point into it, I would definitely be investing into that. Kinetic armor increases your maximum health. Additionally, close range attackers have a chance to be struck by explosive feedback. Quite good. I mean, it's kind of a good general skill, I guess. The explosive, if that does a significant amount of damage, then that's a very good skill. Otherwise, it's just a good defensive skill in general. Hard to kill. Whenever you are shot or struck by an enemy, you gain a stack of hard to kill. Maximum stacks 100. Reducing all damage received. All stacks are removed after a few seconds of taking damage. All stacks are removed after a few seconds. So they don't decay. They just remove all at once. Up to 10% will be 100 times 0.1. I'm not liking that. That doesn't seem like too good of a skill at this point in the skill tree. I do like damage reduction, but having to get to 100 stacks just to get 10% seems pretty cruddy. Also, the fact that they just remove without decaying, I'm not liking that so much. I'm going to go with kinetic armor on this one. Overcharge Saint ability. Immediately after being summoned, Saint will release an energy wave that will overcharge you and any nearby friends for short duration. Gaining increased movement speed, fire rate, reload speed, and ammo regen. Duration 10 seconds. Definitely liking that. What can I say? This is a very general kind of build. If I had to pick 2 trees, I'm going to go with Cyber Commando and Dreadnought. It's not to say Hunter Kill is bad, it's just a bit no thrills. I really do like Laser Guided though. That's very cool, as well as Scramble and Cold War. Those 3 skills are very cool. But I think you can squeeze a bit more value out of these with the amount of skill points you're going to have to spend. I've already said what I'd go for in Cyber Commando. If I had to go down Dreadnought, I'm probably going to go Fortify, although Tanks is fine. Heat Sinks over Energize. Termination Protocols I think is quite fun. Rapid Reinforcement is very, very good. Hazmat Containment's very, very good. 0 hours quite useful. If you've got an extra point, you might as well put it in. and kinetic armor, and then overcharge. That's my choice for Willhelm. That about wraps up this video. If you've made it this far, you enjoyed the video, please give the video a like, as it does help promote it. And otherwise, I will see you in the next video, which I believe will be for Anisha. I will see you then. Thanks for watching.